Good day. Thank you for joining us for another edition of the program Evidence on Canal 2 English. I am Dominic Meme Mwakimo. We are talking about the solution to the Anglophone crisis that keep delaying even after the visit of the Prime Minister Joseph Diongute, who visited the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. After the visit, a lot has been going on the direction of continuous violence with no peace seen at the end of the tunnel. We shall equally talk about the infighting within the activists. That is, we are talking about the Ambazonian leaders. We have seen conflicting ideas on the social media concerning the struggle. We shall equally talk about the recent fighting in Wom, Menchu division of the northwest region of the country, where the Mbororo community attacked some communities in that particular division. That raised a lot of tension about the issue of living together right into the northwest region of the country. Like I mentioned earlier, I am Dominic Meme Mwakimo. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. We are receiving a Muslim scholar of the Bible. His name is Abdulkarim. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thanks for having me once more, Mr. Dominic.
Glad to have you after some time, but we are receiving you for particular issues to discuss concerning the Anglophone crisis that have been rocking for close to 3 years today. The first thing we're going to find out from you is recently we noticed there was a fight, a serious confrontation that led to the death of many persons and the destruction of property in Naikom village, that is Wom subdivision in Menchu division of the northwest region of the country. It gives the impression that the crisis is moving towards some sort of a religious fight. Can we say perhaps the Mbororo community there are antichrist?
Let me begin by praising God and I ask Him to send His blessings and peace upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and upon other prophets like Jesus, like Moses, like Jacob, like Abraham. Peace be upon them all, and to righteous men and women who've lived. To you, Mr. Dominic, and to the televiewers of Canal 2 English and specifically the program Evidence. Yeah, it was rather a very worrying situation that we had what we had in the Menchu County. However, I think this is what people, because I think it's an instigated affair. Those who instigated want to convert the challenge that is on the ground into a religious fight. And by God's grace, it is never going to happen, inshallah. And coming strictly to your question, this question brings me to the position where I have to declare an article of faith in Islam. In Islam, we have six articles of faith, and one of them is that we must accept all the prophets of God. And in the prophethood in the house of Islam, Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, is not just a prophet, he's a prophet and a messenger. He's at the rank he's at the highest ranks of prophets. Allah says, وَمِنَ الْمُقَرَّبِينَ, and he's placed at the highest rank. In other words, what Christians will say, seated at the right hand of God the Father Almighty. You know, a place of importance. That is what we mean when you say right hand. And this is what we believe. A Muslim cannot be a Muslim unless he believes in Jesus Christ, peace be upon him. We believe that miraculously he was born by a virgin. We believe that he is the Messiah, which means Christ, the chosen one, the anointed one by God. We believe that by God's will and grace, he did many miracles. He cast out demons from people. He healed even those that were born blind and lepers. He even gave life to the dead. We all believe this. It is true that there is a point of little difference, but the point of difference between a Muslim and a Christian is not a point of trouble and fight. Actually, we are made to have this difference so that we can understand ourselves more. Dialogue, that is actually the message of the Quran. Read, Iqra, talk nicely, da'wah to people with hikmah, invite all in the way of their Lord according to Quran chapter 16 verse 125. Udu ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah, invite all with wisdom, wal ma'izatul hasna, and talk to them beautifully. About what? About this point of differences. And the point of differences, if I may just mention them, which is not a point of problems. Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam received Christians in his mosque. And the classical definition of God, which has been accepted by all scholars across the religious board, was given to Prophet Muhammad because of the visit of Christians, whom he lodged in his mosque, in Masjid al-Nabawi. So these points of differences are not point of conflicts that would allow a Muslim by any means to even hate a Christian. The point is, call them onto dialogue. Kul ya ahlil kitab, say, O people of the book, ta'ala ila kalimati sawa'in bainana wa bainakum. Come, let's discuss what is common as between you and I. What is common? What is common is that we find really and truly, if you read the Bible, what we believe about Jesus is clear, declared by Jesus Christ himself and by God in the Bible. In the Bible, when you read from the lips of Jesus himself, he says in the book of John chapter number 14 verse number 28, my Father is greater than I. In the book of John chapter number 10 verse number 29, he says, my Father is greater than all. In the book of Matthew chapter number 12 verse number 28, he says, I cast out devils with the Spirit of God. In the book of Luke 11:20, he says, I with the finger of God cast out demons. Importantly, in the book of John 5:30, he says, I on my own self can do nothing.
Yes, so let's go back to the real question I asked you of what happened in NICOM, a womb division, or womb subdivision of Major Division of the Northwest, the conflict between the Moro community. Some people think it was instigated by others. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a plot, but thank God for the kind heart of Muslims and the kind heart of Christians who all believe in monotheism of God. They have come to realize, they have reconciled, they have come to realize that it was nothing but a plot. They have been living before this so-called crisis or war that has been declared on them, both Christians and Muslims of the southern Cameroons. They have been living harmoniously without any religious conflict, not even with conflicts of land. How will it come today that all of a sudden the indigenes don't want to see Muslims? It doesn't make sense to me. So what makes sense is that I would think that it's a plot. And really and truly, we can see that it's a plot. And may God continue to expose the plotters. Allah says in the Quran, the plan and God plans, but God is the best of planners.
You watch, normally, I think maybe you have watched a short video taken by people that were dressed in a military uniform, as some boys had sticks and other pointed objects moving to attack other communities. What do you make about such a video, somebody taking, seeing people going to attack in military uniform, a man in military uniform going, taking videos of people going to attack, and it doesn't make an effort to stop them?
Yeah, I think that those are one of the material evidence to show that it's a plot. I don't understand how a security officer would see an angry youth with sticks and machetes going to attack a so-called armed group and encourages them to go and do so, knowing that the result between a fight with someone who has a gun and the other who has a stick is that the one with the stick is going to die, and you allow them. So I say it was a plot, and I'm calling myself, all Muslims and Christians, we should not allow ourselves to be manipulated. If we must fight and die, let's fight and die for the right causes and for the right reasons. Let's not fight and die for the wrong causes and for the wrong reason. I think it's a shame that it has gotten to such cheap espionage. I think if we want to depend on our intellect, that is very cheap espionage, in my opinion.
It is over a month today after the Prime Minister Joseph Diongute visited the northwest and southwest of Cameroon, discussing issues about a possible end to the Anglophone crisis. He talked about dialogue on several occasions by indicating that, separation or secession will not be on the table of a discussion. After the visit of the Prime Minister Abdulkarim, many people expected a real process and the actions towards a dialogue. What do you think is hampering the process?
Nothing, except for the fact that they didn't mean what they were saying. And in my opinion, when you saw what the so-called Prime Minister did, or what he displayed.
But that is the Prime Minister of the country.
Yeah, sure. That's what that's why I said so. It's so-called, right? Is it not so-called? It is called like that, so it says so-called in English. He displayed that, and then immediately a minister who is supposed to be his subordinate comes to counter his words. And in my opinion, what Nji Atanga said is the position of the government of the Republic.
How do you explain that?
How do I explain that? Why can't you see? Just look at the field. It tells that Diongote's message was probably his own message. The office didn't buy it. You know, La Republic government is acting like an individual. They're not acting like a government per se. It means that probably that's what he wanted to say, because really and truly, he's a Southern Cameroonian, and nobody will say they are happy seeing all the killings. Especially, he was still in the field while our baby Mata was shot dead. But
some people will say they watched the Prime Minister in Bamenda, in Buea, and the other places, telling the people that he says, Papa don't send me my country, which means that he was referring to the President of the Republic who sent him to
since
pass
he left
such a
till
message.
today, more than 400 people have died, Mr. Meme. Since he left till today, how do you speak peace He's a Christian. Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers. You've got to be making peace. You've got to pull out those military, tell them to stop killing. Still, you are still in the field while they killed Baby Mata. And they killed at Midankwe. And they have been killing today over 400. In last week only, we registered 72 in the northern zone. Last week only. And so now we don't need all these preachers. We need to see action. And real action would have been that the Prime Minister walked out with all the military that, look, Mr. Meme, today itself, what I saw in Bamenda, a series of armored car with mounted machine guns on them in the city, on us. Right now, I'm speaking here, I can go out and they arrest me. You don't have to talk even when they kill your brother. Shut up, don't talk. This is what they're doing. So I said if he was going out of these zones, going out with the military presence, releasing people in the jail, that would have been a meaningful approach to dialogue. All these words to me are totally and completely useless. And you can see that they are useless because his subordinate countered him immediately and nothing has been done to him. And we can see that really and truly the subordinate material of what is being amplified on the ground with the killings, the more suppression, and all of these things. So implicitly, we can see that what he really meant is what Atangaji meant, and what Atangaji meant is what you can see in the field. It's clear.
Now, some people have equally been calling for confederation, saying it can be an option that can make the difference since government says secession will not be on the table for discussion. Some advocate or some are advocating for confederation. When you look at the concept of confederation in this particular position that Cameroon finds itself, can it work?
Listen, Mr. Meme, we are not going to negotiate at a point of fear. And at the same time, fear is not going to stop us from negotiating. Let me say that again. We are not going to negotiate from a point of fear, and fear is not going to stop us from negotiating. Most of these people who are now preaching confederation, I wonder, this my fellow brothers who call themselves federalists, because they are the ones who migrated now from federalism to confederation. Some months back,
the situation, the context have changed.
Yeah, this shows that
this
shows that they don't understand the Southern Cameroon problem. That is just simple. If you understand it, all this prostitution between forms of governance wouldn't be trickling in your mind. What is confederation? Can you have a confederation between the states? You must have a confederation between two states. First of all, they must be states to confederate. So this even beats their argument. Their own suggestion beats their presuppositions. Because for you to confederate with another state, you must be a country on your own. You're going to enter it with your passport, with your ID, with your currency. So I like that. So first of all, let's have independence, and then we go for confederation. But I think they don't, these people preaching these things, number one, they've not, I'm sorry to say this, they don't understand the Southern Cameroon problems. If they did, they'll honestly be preaching one thing now. Just one thing.
Which is? Which
is solving the root cause of the problem. And the root cause of the problem is that Southern Cameroon was not properly decolonized. Like other African territories under the United Nations Resolution 1608. That is the problem. All these other things of our children don't have jobs, we are being spoken in French in our schools, lawyers are being beaten, all of them are symptoms. I've said this many times and it's worth repeating. They are symptoms of something. If you don't solve that thing, my child will still face the other thing again. Right now, in the northern zone, all you need to do is speak French to the security officers and then they let you. Once you speak French, no matter what they would punish an indigent for, if you speak French, they'll say, this is a francophone, let him go. This is what they do. So you can see it's still, even at the midst of all this, and I ask myself, what did we do wrong? Where did we go wrong to have such a treatment? We are the ones who willfully entered a union with La République du Cameroon. They didn't come in. We came in. And today, after all what they know that they have been doing, we mention it is killing, beating, maiming, raping, and insult. I've never understood this thing till today. And I wonder why Francophones who are God-fearing have not understood it the way we are supposed to understand it.
In the same vein, we listened to the Minister Delegate in charge of, or Minister Delegate at the Ministry of Justice speaking. That was earlier this week, indicating that the Anglophone General Conference, he doesn't have faith in the conveners of the conference. That was mentioned by Jean-Didier Momo in a local television channel here in the nation's economic capital, Douala. What do you make of his position as far as the Anglophone General Conference is concerned?
Well, to begin with, I think that guy is a very big clown, and he's a comic. And he had better do a stand-up comedy show. I think he's going to make a lot of money from that. That's to say. And secondly, he's correct. I don't know what we need an Anglophone General Conference for. I agree with him. I buy his idea. He's correct. It's totally trash. Because I hear now the organizers come to say they want to sit and ask South Anglophones, as they call it, not even Southern Cameroonians, to submit the problems that is plaguing them. Are you kidding me? That you are a Southern Cameroonian and you don't know the Southern Cameroon problem? Then you truly are not a Southern Cameroonian. If you don't know the Southern Cameroon problem, so much so that you need Anglophones to come and sit in a conference to tell us what the problem is so that we can go and submit to the government. In that regard, John of God, he's 100% correct.
Jean-Didier Momo?
Jean-Didier Momo. The French words are very difficult for me, so I get to translate John of God. They do translate names also. Francophones are very good in that. They translate names of countries, they translate people's names, everything. John they now call it Jean, so I have the right to say John of God also. They call John. There's no John in this. There's no John in the history of Palestine. There's no John in the history of Jesus Christ's disciples. There's no Jean, sorry. There's only John. So if they call it Jean today, they translate it. So I have the right to retranslate it back to the original one, which is John of God. He's correct. The AGC, based on what they're saying that they want to do for the AGC, they want to collect the information and go and meet the president, it's useless. I agree with him.
Well, how do you explain that? Because the main convener of the conference, that is Christian Cardinal Toomey, have indicated on several occasions that is the only broad-based forum where ideas can be gotten, where Anglophones can have the same position in order to, submit to the President of the Republic. He mentioned that in a communique that was issued this week in Douala. That
begs the question, because I watched Mr. Eli Smith saying something to the contrary, saying that meeting is there to mediate and to bring Anglophones to collect their problems and go and submit to the head of state. That's what I heard, unless I'm mistaken. But on the premise that you want Southern Cameroonians to speak, to come with one voice, to know who will represent you, that's okay, but it shouldn't be an Anglophone conference. It should be a Southern Cameroon conference. We have to be clear, and then we cannot have the conference while the leadership is in the jail, diaspora cannot come, thousands are in the bushes. We want to have an inclusive conference if we need to have it, and we need to have control of our conference. We don't need governors who are not part of us to be in a conference that we call us. Look, the Cardinal made a good call, but he made the call in a very wrong manner. And the call keeps taking a twist. It's no more even the concept that I know. The concept, if you read the concept paper of the initial conference that was supposed to have held last year, the concept paper is totally different from the articulation I get today. So based on that, John of God, Momo, you say mobile money if you want to add, can come now and say it is a useless meeting, and I agree with him.
If you're just tuning in, we're receiving Abdulkarim, a Muslim scholar of the Bible. He just mentioned the leaders of the Anglophone interim government that are presently being detained in the Kondengue, that is a prison in Yaoundé, Cameroon. You just mentioned something about them, and there has been a lot of infighting as far as the leadership of the struggle is concerned. We have seen people issuing a controversial information on the social media about the leadership of Ayuk Tabe Julius Sisiku, who is the president of the interim government. What do you make of all this? Many people say it's a power struggle in the revolution.
Well, number one, that is an internal affair of the people of Southern Cameroon. It's not for public consumption. And number two, I think the leadership is an honorable one. I think we have honorable people who know what they're doing. I think in every situation it's supposed to be like this. Even the disciples of Jesus Christ were not unanimous on many things. Donald Trump wants to build a wall, and the Congress, the Democrats have said no, and we still see it still hanging like no. The disciples of Prophet Muhammad were not, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, were not unanimous on everything. Why do people expect Southern Cameroonians to be unanimous on every little detail? But Southern Cameroonians are focused on one thing. You know, the quest for the independence of Southern Cameroon is at the back of every Southern Cameroonian's mind and embedded in their mind. That one has been ticked. And of course, human beings are different in the way they think. And I know that all this is a storm that is blowing, and water shall find its level. And all our leaders are going to shake hands, and the enemy is definitely going to be at the point of disgrace. So this, to me, is nothing new in any revolution or in any movement or in any tight situation that people will have differences. But I pray that we need to learn to quit washing our liniens at home, on the outside. Our liniens, I'm talking, not even talk about dirty ones. I won't wash this white shirt in front of my gate, talk less of my brown pants. So we need to learn that also. But I think people are taking this thing out of proportion. The differences are not that big as people would expose it on the outside.
The trial of Abdulkarim Jilos and the 10 others arrested in Nera Hotel in Abuja, Nigeria last year, 2018, has been adjourned to the 9th of July. The decision was taken by the military court in Yaoundé this week, indicating that they are giving enough time to the appeal court to react on the appeal tabled by the defending lawyers of Abdulkarim Jilos and others. When I talked to some of the lawyers immediately after the decision of the military court, they sounded very optimistic and they were happy about the decision taken by the military court, asking the appeal court to react on their appeal. How do you react to the decision of the military court?
Yeah, I think for the first time they are fair in judgment, yielding to the appeal that the lawyers submitted, waiting for the appeal to come out before he could pursue the case. I think it's a right step in the right direction, and I hope that the appeal court recognizes that that appeal is genuine. So I think for the first time I can take off my hat for this particular judge. He did the right thing, and I pray that he continues in that regard.
On the 20th of June, there was World Refugee Day, and we know how thousands of refugees from the northwest and southwest of Cameroon are presently in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In the message they delivered to the United Nations High Commission for Refugee in one of the camps in the Otum, that's the Etum Federal Local Government in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, they made public declarations indicating that the United Nations organization is a partner in crime of what is going on in the northwest and southwest of the country. The position of the refugees from northwest and southwest accusing the United Nations organization, do you think it is valid? Very valid, embedded in truth and with historical fact. The United Nations signed out resolutions and made charters that they did not respect on the Southern Cameroons. And people have been languishing in the forest for 3 years, and United Nations is silent. They keep sending humanitarian aid. Is it humanitarian aid that took people to the bushes? No. Their lives have been threatened and they have been killed because you refused to grant them what was bona fide theirs. I think there's a need to feed these people first, give them a little shelter while negotiations are going on for peace to take place. Well, Southern Cameroonians are doing that. I'm not saying that we don't need help from every well-wishers. Nigerians are doing that under the canopy of, what's her name, this journalist? Sorry, I forgot her name. The stand-up journalist who does so well, Adiola. Yeah. She's been helping. Many people are helping, and we were not dismissing help. But for the United Nations can save that humanitarian part. They can save it, really. They should come with the real business. They should come back with the business of Southern Cameroon's poor or improper decolonization on the table. This is what the refugees are asking. We need to ask them a simple question. Were we due for decolonization? If the answer is yes, were we decolonized? If the answer is no, give us that independence. It's that simple. United Nations has to answer these questions. And they can spin for all we care. They will have to answer these questions. Really. Baby Matter has gone to prepare questions for them. We know how the problem of the Anglophone crisis was discussed in an informal manner at the United Nations organization. I think it's over a month or today since not have been mentioned about such a discussion again at the United Nations. Does it mean the crisis does not really hold enough weight for it to be discussed at the level of the Security Council? No, that was just an informal meeting due to pressure to address humanitarian crisis. You know, that was a time from member countries for assistance on the table. I'm sure that's what the business is. And yeah, I don't want to say much about the United Nations, but but just to say this, where do they get funding from? From the World Bank. So how do they justify their funding? They have to justify by the fact that the humanitarian situation is so grievous, so we need money. So it's a peace business that I really don't want to get involved in. United Nations should stop their drama and come and answer a few questions for us. We're a few minutes to the end of the program, gradually moving to an end. How do you react to the recent observation of National Day of Mourning in Cameroon? for 17 soldiers that were killed in Darak, that is in the far north region of the country.
I just heard that some few minutes ago. I didn't even know it. Mr. Meme, I'm so concerned with the bullets that kill innocent Southern Cameroonians every day that I don't have time to watch news from organs like that. So I didn't know it. I heard a few minutes ago. But this is such a fallacious move. Southern Cameroonians' blood means nothing. It means nothing to this government. And I don't know what is going up far north, so I don't know whether they are mourning or they are not. I don't know what war they are fighting. That is not my preoccupation. I'm in a place where children are being killed, boys are being killed, parents are being killed. We don't have the freedom of speech. We cannot talk. We cannot move. We cannot answer our calls. So I won't have time for national mourning. For what?
Thank you so much, Abdulkarim, for answering our invitation today.
Thank you, sir.
And we thank you so much for watching. That was Evidence, in which we discuss a series of issues, most especially as it concerns the Anglophone crisis. Thank you once again. I am Dominic Meme Nwakimo. Have a nice day.